Broadcasting live from the studios of World Dairy Expo in Madison,
Despite
Wisconsin, USA. This is WXPO News.
Despite the rain, you can see that traffic is picking up and heavy as the folks start coming in for World Dairy Expo on this dreary Friday morning. Good morning and welcome to WXPO News at 10. I'm Laura Hirschleb, and here's what's to come up on this Friday morning. Delilah does it again. The 2015 and 2016 Grand Champion, as well as the 2017 Reserve Grand Champion of the International Junior Brown Swiss Show, was back on the colored shavings yesterday and finished her day back on top. Cutting Edge T. Delilah, exhibited by Kyle Barton of Copiague, New York, was not only named the 2018 Grand Champion of the Junior Show, but also Grand Champion of the International Brown Swiss Open Show. We have complete results ahead. World Dairy Expo's trade show exhibitors work hard to give back to the community. Hear what Cargill is doing to support the Great American Milk Drive in a few minutes. And Allison Dairyland is an icon in Wisconsin agriculture and at World Dairy Expo. Coming up, I am joined by the 71st Allison Dairyland, Caitlin Riley, to discuss what she's been up to during Expo and during her reign as Alice. But first, World Dairy Expo's youth contests have been highly competitive this week, and last night's youth showmanship contest was no exception. The colored shavings saw youth competitors from near and far, and the competition was tough as the Ontario youth swept the show. Placing at the top of the junior division was Keaton Phoenix of Greenback, Ontario, Canada. The junior division was judged by Curtis McNeek of Goodrich, Ontario. Jamie Howard of Bergsville, Ontario, evaluated the intermediate division and selected Caden Finley from Greenbank, Ontario as the champion intermediate showman. In the senior division, Madison Diamond of Bergsville, Ontario was named champion showman by Judge Kelly Reynolds of Corfu, New York. Congratulations to all of these youth exhibitors. We will be right back after this short break. I know, and then I was like,
The newest member of Dairy Tech's herd was bred to help you with the newest member of yours. She's the perfect cross of Dairy Tech pasteurization technology and the simplicity of the perfect udder colostrum management system. At half the price of any competitive product on the market, pasteurizing and warming your colostrum has never been easier or more cost-effective. Say hello, Matilda. Check her out at perfectudder.com.
Welcome back. Although it may look dreary outside, there is lots of activity within the exhibition hall. As you can see right here, many different companies featured in our trade show, as well as companies featured with commercial exhibit booths in our arena building, Coliseum, outdoor trade mall, and throughout the grounds. Joining us on the news set here this morning in Madison is the fabulous Farm Babe to give us our market report. Pam, over to you.
Alrighty, thank you, Laura. Good morning, everybody. Boy, I wish Wisconsin had on a better face for you weather-wise if you're not from around these parts. Me, I'm homegrown, grew up in Wisconsin on a dairy farm north of Green Bay, went to school here, and I'm happy to say that this World Dairy Expo marks my 28th year being the fabulous Farm Babe in Madison. So again, welcome to all of you. Markets are not real welcoming today either, I'm afraid. You know, despite the wet weather we've got around the upper Midwest, the trade's ignoring it. I see that the Farm Journal just came out with a survey of their independent farmers, shows that at least 50% of the grain that we're going to be harvesting probably going into on-farm storage, a lot of it unpriced, a little bit of it priced. Gives you a real sense on how farmers are feeling about not just the harvest, big yields, but also potentially the outlook for trade negotiation in the future. The market saw some good activity this week as far as Mexico and Canada coming to the United States looking at corn. That helped with our export numbers yesterday, but the long term, as far as what farmers are thinking, they're just hoping we're going to be able to get some of these trade deals done so that they'll be able to sell that crop in 2019, hopefully for a better price than they're seeing it right now. At least that seems to be the sentiment in the marketplace this morning. So forgive me, Farm Babe's got to have her cheaters on for this. Markets are still in the red as far as corn and soybeans are concerned. Right now, our nearby corn crop down about 2 cents. We're sitting at 365.5. The soybeans are going in the same direction right now. We're down about 2 cents on the nearby at 857.5. You want to take a look at something like the March contract on corn in Chicago, down about 2 at 377. Likewise, the January contract on beans down about 2, currently at 871. March is down about 2 at 884. And of course, you know, it's not just about Chicago, it's about whatever your local basis is doing as well. Talk a little bit about livestock. That's actually looking a little bit better as far as the numbers are concerned. The live cattle, the feeder cattle, they're all trading up a little bit right now. A lot of conversation in the marketplace on what's going to happen with the African swine fever. China is continuing to battle that, and now there's some real concerns on what's going to happen as far as its transmission, its travel, not just through China, but potentially to other markets. So got to kind of keep an eye on what's happening there. And of course, if you're a dairy farmer, you know all about biosecurity. So keep that in mind. Dairy is kind of quiet so far today. In case you missed it, yesterday in Chicago, the barrel cheese finished up unchanged. The 40-pound block cheese actually gained a little ground yesterday, and the AA butter, that was also a little lower. So far in Chicago, it looks like we've got our October milk trading up just 2 cents, 15.84. November's up 3 at 16.04. December milk, that's a penny stronger, 15.99 a hundredweight. I think anybody in the dairy industry these days really hoping that we're going to see a substantial improvement on those prices as we head towards the end of the fourth quarter. Ladies and gentlemen, I certainly welcome you to Madison, Wisconsin. Love to have you here. I'm the fabulous Farm Babe, Pam Yankee. Find me on Facebook or Twitter, Fabulous Farm Babe. Enjoy World Dairy Expo. Laura, back to you.
Thank you so much, Pam. World Dairy Expo's trade show is home to companies just getting started and others who have made their mark for decades, each with its own story to tell. As companies grow and gain a better understanding of farmer needs, so too does their approach and rationale for making the investment to participate here each year. I stopped by the VES Environmental Services booth yesterday to learn about their company's growth since they got their start 10 years ago.
I am having the great pleasure here of visiting with John McBride with VES Environmental Systems, and I'd love to hear more about your company's story. You're celebrating your 10-year anniversary. Tell our viewers all about VES.
Well, 10 years ago, 3 of my partners, we wanted to get into a business together, and we felt, based on our experience in ventilation, environmental systems, manufacturing, nobody had done a proper job in the dairy industry. You know, every barn is a different size. There wasn't the research, and we said we are going to take our passion and we're going to commit to making the dairy industry better.
That's wonderful. And where is your company based out of, and where does that passion stem from?
Well, at the start, passion comes from wanting to get a paycheck, and that gets us going. We're in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. We're very proud to be a Wisconsin LLC company with manufacturing facilities in China that we own 100%, and today we ship over 40 countries around the world putting in the VES system.
That's fantastic. And so being here at World Dairy Expo with having nearly 100 different countries represented with our visitors that come, this is a really great platform for VES. Can you talk a little bit about where the company has gone and grown in the last 10 years of being here and in existence?
Yeah, well, obviously we took our knowledge on fans and started applying them. We really came across a wonderful man called Dr. Mike Wolf, and he joined us because he speaks cow. I don't speak cow. I do a little now, but he's helped me. But we really developed concepts that really helped the cow. I'm originally from Canada, one of my partners from Canada, so internationally we've traveled the world, and we had partnerships around the world, and the world was really willing to embrace our concepts, maybe a little quicker than our North American customers, but we just kept developing, learning, changing, making it better, lowering the cost, and just trying to be a different company, being a really great company.
Absolutely. What are some of VES's future goals? What are you working towards?
Well, our ventilation system, we've pretty well perfected a concept that is really paying off. We're now taking the energy cost to run that system, and we expect by this time next year, we'll run the same system at a quarter of the cost. And then what we are also doing is we've developed a new Dairy Boss control. And from the Dairy Boss control, we want to be able to take all the data from the farm, show the farmer based on the investment cost, the installed cost, the operating cost. We're going to overlay that, what are the animals doing? Because when you put in a VES system, it takes about 48 hours after you turn on the switch and your cows start to change. And so we want to put those numbers into milk production, pregnancy, conception, lameness, sickness, and that we will really have a data platform that all farmers can use, not just with VES, but any other company who wants to be a ventilation environmental company.
That's wonderful. So it's kind of establishing those benchmarks based on your history and your knowledge and really showcasing the differentiation of VES products, correct?
Correct. And the truth is the dairy industry is a complicated business model. There are so many variables. And that's why people haven't said, hey, how do we develop this? And when we take a look at the top 10 items that people talk about to help their dairy farm, not one time they mentioned ventilation. I think we're in number 2 or number 3. Cow comfort, ventilation, and so that's my goal, is to just raise the bar. We want farmers to make money. We want cows to be healthy and comfortable. That's our focus and our passion. If we do everything right, maybe we'll make a little money along the way, but and so far we're doing okay.
Certainly. And so today we're visiting on Wednesday World Dairy Expo, and it's, 81 degrees, and tomorrow it's going to go down to 50. So talk to me, give me a hypothetical situation about how your system would handle, such a temperature swing in a short period of time.
Right. So what we do is we take a lot of the concepts. Every cow is equivalent to a hair dryer. You have 2,000 cows, you have 2,000 hair dryers. In the winter, those hair dryers are your best friends. In the summer, they're your worst enemies. So we have to take the ventilation, air exchange, fresh air. People have forgot about my fan moves this CFM. Doesn't matter the CFM, is that cow getting fresh air. So we make sure when it gets warm, we eliminate heat stress. When the ventilation is not enough, we drop the ambient temperature in the barn. So we've been in places like Australia, which is 115 degrees, like your head in an oven. But the cows are not into heavy heat stress. Their pregnancy is maintained. So it's very sophisticated. It takes time. Every barn is designed special. And then we get the results every time.
That's fantastic. And as we wrap up our conversation today, what are your goals and your takeaways that you're hoping to accomplish from this year's World Dairy Expo?
Well, we're in our 10th year. We have many international visitors coming to share in our 10th year anniversary here. Our goal is to just help the dairy industry. How do we take, if somebody's breaking even at 16 pounds, how do we get them to be competitive, financially strong at 12 pounds? Like, this is really what we want to do, is we want to change the landscape for the cows and the dairy farmers to be more successful. We have so much pressure on us with duties, tariffs, milk prices, feed. We want to help the farmer, and we feel we have a segment that we can make a huge difference.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, John. I know you were sharing earlier your success stories, and with that, we thank John McBride from VES Environmental Systems for visiting today.
It is great to hear from this group as they not only celebrate this great milestone, but also as they continue to introduce new products into the marketplace. The stats speak for themselves. The general population is becoming more and more removed from the farm, or family that farms, or even realizing that milk, in fact, comes from cows and not the grocery store, and that brown milk or chocolate milk doesn't, in fact, come from brown cows. Joining me now is Hannah Thompson-Weeman, Vice President of Communications for the Animal Ag Alliance. The Animal Ag Alliance is an industry-united, nonprofit organization that helps bridge the communications gap between farm and fork. Welcome, Hannah. Thank you for being here.
I'm so glad to be here. This is my first time returning to Expo since I was in college, so it's great to have a different perspective on the event and have a reason to come back and connect with the dairy industry, which I'm very passionate about. And I'm really glad to work at an organization like the Alliance that helps farmers and ranchers and helps get the real story out there about all the work that farmers and ranchers do to take quality care of their animals and provide products to consumers.
Wonderful. And can you talk about what are some of those key things that our farmers should really be mindful of as, kind of keep watching, that their operations are, properly portrayed? What can producers do to ensure that?
The Animal Ag Alliance's mission is to bridge the communication gap between farm and fork. So what we do is really try to communicate accurate, balanced information about the industry to key influencers like the media, restaurant retail brands, bloggers, dietitians, all those types of people. So in addition to proactively engaging with them, we also monitor for the myths and misinformation that's out there that certain groups portray in order to try to convince people not to support animal agriculture. So it's an unfortunate reality in 2018 that we all have to be very conscious of what's going on out there and what those groups and individuals are doing who don't support our industry. There is a very small but very vocal segment of the population that does not believe we should be using animals for food, for fuel, for entertainment, for any purpose. And it does not matter how high our standards of care and animal welfare are, if at the end of the day we're using those animals, they don't believe that that is acceptable. And those are the folks that unfortunately are trying to be very influential and have an impact on what our consumers think. So we really need to be paying attention to what they're doing, what they're saying, and that's what the Alliance does on behalf of the industry and keeps everyone informed. So a couple trends that we're seeing in activism that I think producers should be aware of. Number one, and it kind of sounds crazy, but it really is happening, is break-ins and trespassing on farms. So people are coming in, trying to find unlocked doors. They call this rescues. They actually take animals with them.
Really?
They've stolen a calf, they've stolen piglets, they've stolen 40 chickens from an egg farm. And they believe that they are liberating those animals. They believe that they are saving them, but of course they broke in to do that. They trespassed, they violated the privacy of that farmer. And biosecurity is also a huge issue.
Absolutely.
We're all well aware of why we're careful about who goes onto our barns and what order we do our chores in even, so that we're making sure that we're not exposing animals to disease threats. But that's exactly what these groups do when they use these tactics to get onto farms.
Sure.
We're also seeing a lot of protests and disruptions at events like right here at World Dairy Expo and a couple weeks ago at the Bovine Veterinarians Conference. There are groups that, again, want to get attention for their cause. They want to disrupt any kind of event that's celebrating agriculture, just like Expo does. So we have to be very careful, even at local county fairs, about those protests and disruptions and all of those things going on. A couple suggestions we would have for producers as far as security. First is taking any easy steps that you can. Motion sensor lighting, no trespasser signs, cameras, fences, gates, anything you can do to try to make your facility a harder target. We have to be keeping those things in mind. Again, it's just an unfortunate reality that security and who's coming on to our farms and when has to always be in our minds. And that leads to my next suggestion, which is that we need to be very careful about people coming onto our farms. It's not unusual for a salesperson or the vet or someone else to just stop in
different
unannounced.
kind of vehicle or something that you don't recognize.
Different vehicles, people just visiting. But unfortunately, our families, employees, neighbors need to know that they should be asking questions. Why are you here? Do you have an appointment? Do you have some kind of identification? Because people are coming onto farms with negative intentions. A couple examples, we've had a lot of storms and flooding on the East Coast in the past couple years, and people have driven around to farms and said they were with USDA and they needed to inspect flooded facilities in order to get indemnity payments made. They weren't. They just wanted to be able to take pictures of damage to use against the industry. So again, we have to be very careful about who's coming out. Are they who they say they are, and how do we verify that?
Sure. And for our viewers that may not be here, what would be three just like pointers? What are three key messages that we should all feel comfortable with incorporating into our 30-second elevator speech about the dairy industry?
The first thing is that we all need to proactively YouTube-proof our operations. So we need to be beyond reproach. We know that these groups are very willing to make things up about our industry, so we can't give them any material to use. So any steps that we can take that we can make our operations, you know, beautiful from the road, something that people like to see, can respond to, being a good neighbor, that's where these things start, and we need to be able to tell that story. So the first thing to do is to make sure you're not doing anything on your farm that you feel maybe uncomfortable with. If someone were to see that you couldn't explain the rationale behind why we do the things we do.
Sure.
Messages that really resonate with people, the fact that farms are family farms. People don't know that the vast majority of farms in the U.S. are family owned, family operated, and that really resonates with people that kind of have this negative corporate image of agriculture.
Well, and it kind of brings it back to like their, you know,
Relating
roots,
to
their
people.
history. Yeah, making it really relatable. That's a really good point.
And something I never thought about, but someone pointed out to me, is that when we have signs at the end of our lane that say Foremost Farms or Purdue or Tyson in the chicken side, that just means, you know, I'm a farm like grows for that company. Someone said, well, I thought that meant all those farms were owned by that company.
Right.
So that was just a complete revelation that I had never thought about it that way.
It's not something that we take for granted, but you've driven past it every day of your life. And so it's just the pride you're showing for the company that you're producing your product for, type thing.
And I've seen some companies start changing those signs to say, you know, proud grower for, or proud supplier to, to kind of change that message and make sure people understand that what you're seeing is a farm that supplies to a larger company that ends up in your grocery store. Another thing that people aren't really aware of that resonates a lot is the amount of training and resources that are available for producers to make sure we're caring for animals appropriately. Things like the farm program, you know, standards like that. A lot of people don't know that that exists. They think that there's nothing out there that helps farmers be on the cutting edge of animal care. So just explaining that there are guidelines in place, there are checks and balances, really helps people feel confident in their product.
That's wonderful. Thank you for all this information, Hannah. I know I spent some time on your website and it was extremely helpful. It's a great resource, the Animal Ag Alliance. And with that, we're going to take a short break. Thank you so much.
Newest member
we'll
of
be back
Dairy
after the break.
To help you with the newest member of yours. She's the perfect cross of dairy tech pasteurization technology and the simplicity of the perfect udder colostrum management system. At half the price of any competitive product on the market, pasteurizing and warming your colostrum has never been easier or more cost-effective. Say hello, Matilda. Check her out at perfectudder.com.
Welcome back. Yesterday, the colored shavings saw a familiar champion return once again as cutting-edge T. Delilah proved that some things just keep getting better with age in the International Brown Swiss Show. Delilah, owned and exhibited by Kyle Barton of Copake, New York, was fortunate enough to experience that firsthand. Delilah was on the money as she started the day by winning the 5-year-old cow class, and it was a clean sweep from there as she went on to be selected as senior and grand champion of the International Brown Swiss and Open and Junior shows. Delilah knows her way around the World Dairy Expo show ring, especially the champion lineup, as she was the reserve grand champion Brown Swiss of the Junior show in 2017 and grand champion of the Junior show in 2016 and 15. Kyle and Delilah have had success under the Saturday spotlight as well. In 2016, following being named grand champion of the Junior show, Delilah went on to be named reserve supreme champion of the Junior show. Congratulations, Kyle, and good luck tomorrow. Reserve grand champion of the Open show was also the reserve senior champion, and she was cutting edge Stratus Sioux, exhibited by Ronald Kelm of Markesan, Wisconsin. In the Junior show, junior 2-year-old cow Jen Lair Carter Waltz, exhibited by Brianna Meyer of Chilton, Wisconsin, was reserve grand champion and intermediate champion. This summer, Cargill launched a new social media campaign, Put Your Herd First, and this week they are bringing the campaign to life in their trade show booth. Here is more on this exciting program.
I'm honored to be here with Laura Pierce of Cargill Animal Nutrition. Can you please tell me about the Put Your Herd First social media campaign?
Yes, so Cargill just launched this summer a new line of calf and heifer feed called Herd First. And so we really wanted to come up with a fun way to just celebrate dairy farmers. We know how much they sacrifice to put their animals first every day and care for them. And so we came up with this hashtag Put Your Herd First campaign, and we're bringing it to life in the booth with our life-size Facebook frame. So anyone that comes by the booth, takes a picture with the frame, will have 3 servings of milk donated to the Great American Milk Drive. And our goal is 100,000 servings by the end of October. So
that's fantastic. And how many are you up to now?
I don't have exact count today, but I'd say we're probably close to about halfway through there. So we're doing this at World Dairy Expo, and then we're also going to have it in our booth at National FFA Convention.
Wonderful. And so will the campaign end at the end of October, or what are some of the next phases of the campaign and further goals?
So right now we're anticipating to hit our goal and end the campaign October 31st. So for those that aren't here at Expo, they can participate on Facebook if they go to Cargill Cares and they look for the Herd First Facebook frame, then just upload a picture and hashtag Put Your Herd First, and we'll donate the milk too. So we're on a pretty good track, and we're really excited about this. It's opened a whole lot of opportunities and new ways of thinking, and so I'm not sure what will come next, but it will be something great.
For sure. And can you talk a little bit about some of the other things Cargill has done in the social media platform and what some of your goals might be?
Well, we don't do a lot in the social media space. This is kind of one of our first endeavors on there. So the Cargill Cares page is the Facebook page that the campaigns run on. And that's really a great page to follow. It shows you all that Cargill does for the communities we work and serve to give back. And so without a dairy page, that was the best page to the campaign to live on. But I'm not sure what will come next in social media. We're still exploring that.
For sure. And how's the week been so far here in the booth? And can you tell us about some of the things you're featuring here in the booth?
Yeah, the week's been great. We always love coming to World Dairy Expo. So as you can see, we're featuring Herd First. But we've got a lot of other technology and things we're helping with nutrition. We have some exciting new technology that'll be coming out in January, so people can come visit the booth to learn a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. And being that World Dairy Expo is a global event, can you talk about the reach of Cargill Animal Nutrition?
Oh, wow, the reach of Cargill Animal Nutrition. Well, Cargill is a global company. It's been in business more than 150 years, and I believe we're in 70 countries around the world. So it's a pretty big company, and we love to be here at World Dairy Expo. So it's a big week for us here.
That's wonderful, Laura. So give us some parting words of encouragement to our viewers and to those that might be viewing after to participate in the campaign.
Yes, if you're here, stop by the booth, take your picture, we'll donate the 3 servings of milk. If you're not here, go on Facebook, download the frame, and if you want to give more than 3 servings of milk, the Great American Milk Drive is a fantastic way to donate. All the donation goes to local food banks, and the money has to go towards milk purchases, so make sure you donate through the Great American Milk Drive if you want it to go towards dairy.
That's fantastic. And one last question: how did you decide on where the milk was going, where you were giving to? I think that's so important. We hear so much about how, young people and people of all ages aren't getting enough calcium, enough milk. How did you decide on the Great American Milk Drive?
Well, they've done a really great job of bringing awareness to the need to provide dairy products to local food banks. So they partner with Feeding America. And it's just amazing how much need there is here in America to help people get the dairy nutrition they need. So working with DMI and the people behind the Great American Milk Drive, it was just a natural fit because Cargill has a mission to nourish the world in a responsible way. And this was just a great way to help our dairy customers and give back and get people the dairy nutrition they need.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura. And please be sure to go to Cargill Cares on Facebook or stop here at the booth if you're coming to World Dairy Expo and use the Put Your Herd First filter.
World Dairy Expo is known for its trade show and dairy cattle show, but also for the large crowds of international guests that come to see the best dairy has to offer. From the countries represented by all the international friends we welcome to Madison each year, to the companies showcasing cutting-edge technology and the commerce that occurs in between, fostering those worldwide relationships is paramount. Here with me today is Enrique Gandara, Economic Development Consultant for the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. Welcome, Enrique.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much, and thank you to World Dairy Expo and everybody that puts together such a wonderful international trade, not only for our locals, but for over the 3,000 guests that we have year after year from different countries. More than 100 countries represented in this show.
Amazing. You have been busy and on the go all week. Can you talk about all that you do, not only this week to promote Wisconsin agriculture globally, but also in the weeks leading up to it and probably after too?
Well, absolutely. Our week started last week with Beef Expo in Milwaukee, where we have the opportunity to have over 1,200 different beef, animals that are a great representation of what we do. Wisconsin is 90% dairy, but it's about 10% beef production.
Right. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And this week has started very busy. On Sunday, we have groups that are financed by USDA, corporate groups that bring different people all to showcase what we do in our livestock productions, dairy production, and also to promote our livestock genetics.
Good. And what do you see? What are some of the keys that you're seeing as you work on that, developing those relationships for exporting those livestock genetics? Why are the connections that you make here and our international visitors so incredibly important to foster that business that occurs?
Thank you for that. It's a great question. I would like to tell you that what is very important is because that CAP, we as Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, do access funding from USDA, MAP funding, which is a marketing access program funding. And with these funds, we are able to travel to different countries from not only promoting Wisconsin agriculture, but also we promote all the other products across the board. We have, for example, besides livestock genetics, we also are #1 producers of cranberry in the world. We supply 70% of our cranberries.
Amazing.
So by doing all of these different other, products and traveling abroad across the world, we can promote the finest dairy cattle, the finest livestock genetics, and the finest products that we have in the state. We are a very vibrant state.
I know, isn't it awesome? It's so great.
It's amazing. The other thing that we do is we promote World Dairy Expo.
Well, thank you.
Every place we go, we leave posters in different places. We leave, our little cards inviting everybody to come. And in emerging markets, like we have, and given the, the world, and it's not a secret, the world is having a little bit of hardships, especially with some of our dairy products and dairy production, we're very happy that we can, by doing so, we can bring more people into to know, because a lot of countries don't know everything that Wisconsin do.
Sure, exactly. And tell me more about those emerging markets. Do you see any markets that maybe non-traditional markets that are really, you're seeing or have the potential, you look into your crystal ball and say, that one might be ticking up in the future, that's one that we should be focusing on?
Absolutely. To give you a quick example, in the month of February, we took a trip to a trade show in Abu Dhabi. But by doing so, we visited different companies and different producers, and that derived a big opportunity for Qatar. Unfortunately, Qatar was cut out of the Arab countries for political reasons, and we saw the opportunity that the government of Qatar says that they needed to start producing their own dairy. So we were able not only to visit with the principals of that company, but year to date we have shipped more than 4,500 pregnant heifers, you know, some from Wisconsin and other states that produce to Qatar, and that is, you know, that generated, you know, sales of semen, sales of embryos, and as a matter of fact, one of the gentlemen that we met, we invited to come to World Dairy Expo, and he's here.
That's awesome.
And he's doing business.
That's what it is all about. I mean, that's really just such an amazing testament to the work that you do and your peers within the Department of Agriculture, and especially on that global development. And so, I mean, thank you for all that hard work, I mean, that you do.
Absolutely. And then, on the other hand, Latin America, we continue, you know, growing, and we not only promote our, you know, dairy products, but I mean, our livestock, but we produce our dairy products. We're #1 in cheese, so we have been bringing reverse bioemissions to promote our cheeses, and our cheese manufacturers are doing more and more business. But all it starts with that cow, then produce that milk.
Exactly. And real quickly, as we wrap up our interview, obviously the trade agreement that was reached with Mexico and Canada and the USA on over the weekend has been generated lots of news. Can you give us just a quick overview what we need to know and take away from that?
Absolutely. You know what is more important? Taking in consideration that Canada is our #1 export destination for Wisconsin, and Mexico our #2, is very important for all our companies to be able to come into this NAFTA agreement and continue doing what we used to do. That will help our dairy farmers, that would help all across the board, all of the different producers. Mexico is our #2 most important market for the state of Wisconsin, and not only for Wisconsin, for the whole nation as a whole.
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you for such valuable information, and thank you for all the work that you do. We so truly appreciate it from all of us at World Dairy Expo. And with that, we're going to hear a word from our sponsors.
The newest member of Dairy Tech's herd was bred to help you with the newest member of yours. She's the perfect cross of Dairy Tech pasteurization technology and the simplicity of the perfect udder colostrum management system. At half the price of any competitive product on the market, pasteurizing and warming your colostrum has never been easier or more cost-effective. Say hello, Matilda. Check her out at perfectudder.com.
As of this morning, World Dairy Expo 2018 has welcomed 1,577 international guests from 84 countries. Responsible for welcoming many of those individuals is Wisconsin's Alice in Dairyland. I am so honored. It's such a pleasure to be joined here this morning by our 71st Alice in Dairyland, Caitlin Riley. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, how's it going?
I mean, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Tell us about your week, all that you've been up to.
Yeah, it's been kind of like on cloud nine, not only being at World Dairy Expo, but being at World Dairy Expo as Alice in Dairyland, because you really get the behind the scenes look of what goes on, what all our World Dairy Expo staff does on a day-to-day basis, and meeting those people who come, like you said, from across the globe for this international celebration has just been amazing.
That's fantastic. So one of the big things I know that you were busy with the last couple days was school tours.
Yes.
Can you tell me about just that experience and some of the messages that you were sharing with the kids?
A lot of our school tours is sharing how dairy products get from farms like my family's farm to their plate, whether that's in the form of milk, cheese, butter, ice cream as a dessert, and so much more. And what's great about that is World Dairy Expo is an opportunity to reach more than 1,000 students, and they come from all backgrounds, and it's neat that they can ask questions in an environment where we have all the experts right on hand. And I think they can really personalize with someone who came from a farm and yet is still there to chat with them face to face. And so when they can come here, and we often get asked, when can we see the cows?
Nice.
That is their biggest question. And when they have that understanding then, whether they're eating their dairy products at school, or if they're going to the grocery store with mom and dad, and now are starting to play more of a role in deciding what to purchase for their homes, it's good when they can have the understanding of what it takes to get that wholesome food supply there.
Well, and that firsthand experience is just so incredibly impactful, especially at an age that so much of their decision making is starting to form, based on those experiences.
It really is. And like you said, this is when they're starting to choose what healthy lifestyle they want to take with their own diets. And it may be a time, they're still quite young being in 4th grade, but it could also be a time when the wheels start turning about possible careers in the future. What areas in school do they like to focus on, and what careers do they see right here at World Dairy Expo that they may want to pursue when the years come?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many different opportunities represented here. Now, of course, I must ask, I'm guessing you've got some unique questions during the school tours. What would you say was the one you've never heard before?
Ooh, that is a fantastic question. I think, well, of course, they start off by saying, what the heck is Alice in Dairyland?
Sure.
And, and I got asked, are you just, a version of Alice in Wonderland? And I explained that role a little bit. But when it comes to the questions that they ask, one of them was when we were asking what dairy products are out there, and one of the little boys says, aren't eggs a dairy product? Isn't that a version? And as much as some of us in the agriculture industry may kind of giggle and say, no, eggs come from chickens, you start to realize the disconnect that we might have between our farmers and those with backgrounds outside of agriculture. And I was pleased, as much as it may seem like a silly question, that someone was willing to ask that and willing to have that new understanding of the diversity of Wisconsin agriculture, and how, like we said, when they walked in the grocery store, how those aisles are separated the way they are, and how the nutrients are different among each of our many food products we have in the state.
Most definitely, absolutely. So after this week, obviously your focus has been on all things dairy, which is fantastic. What do you shift your focus to after World Dairy Expo?
October is kind of a transition month because, Alice in Dairyland starts in June Dairy Breakfast, July is a lot of fairs and festivals and farmers market, August we have the Wisconsin State Fair, September we did a lot about cheese with cheese days, and now in October, World Dairy Expo had been something that I've been looking forward to even before I knew I was going to be Alice, just because it's a highlight of any year. And now that we're wrapping up World Dairy Expo, we're going to be looking at a lot of tours so that I can have a better understanding of our farmers and processors who provide that safe and wholesome food supply across Wisconsin, whether it's cranberries or ginseng, or even getting to see some of our ethanol plants that fuel our adventures in agriculture. And so that improves my opportunities, not only as Alice, to more effectively communicate what we do here in Wisconsin, but once my year unfortunately ends as Alice, that I can continue being a communicator and chatting about what we do in this state. And in addition, October, we're already starting to think about holidays.
I was just going to ask.
Yes.
What are you looking ahead to? What do our viewers need to know and as we wrap up our interview?
We will be talking a lot about something special from Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
So nowadays, it's so hard to find gifts for family and friends because they can find pretty much anything they want online.
Yes.
But if you want a genuine quality product, one of the best ways to do that is to find products with that something special from Wisconsin logo. It means half the ingredients, production, or processing came from Wisconsin, and they can be for your two-legged or four-legged friend.
Absolutely.
And they can be hobbies, treasurable gifts, food items, and so much more. So we really wrap it all up right here in the Badger State.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caitlin. We know you have a very busy next 2 days, but we so appreciate all that you do for Wisconsin agriculture and most definitely for the dairy industry and here at World Dairy Expo.
Well, thank you for your time and all that you do as well.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break to recognize our sponsors.
The newest member of Dairy Tech's herd was bred to help you with the newest member of yours. She's the perfect cross of Dairy Tech pasteurization technology and the simplicity of the perfect udder colostrum management system. At half the price of any competitive product on the market, pasteurizing and warming your colostrum has never been easier or more cost-effective. Say hello, Matilda. Check her out at perfectudder.com.
Welcome back. While it may look a little dreary out there, you can see that the line is forming at the Badger Dairy Club cheese stand. And while this year's World Dairy Expo theme is the next frontier, I think maybe the sub-theme should be you can never eat enough cheese or enough grilled cheese sandwiches and chocolate shakes. Yesterday, we took some time to recognize more outstanding booths in the trade show with sponsor Econoprint. Awarded for their small booth was Cotton Incorporated. The winning intermediate booth was Balchem Corporation, and rounding out the group as the outstanding large booth was Dairy Tech. In the New Holland Pavilion, in New Holland Pavilion 1, Bell Valley Farm was recognized for the outstanding herdsmanship, compliments of award sponsor Select Sires. We are over halfway through the 2018 World Dairy Expo. We have already seen a record-setting number of companies in the trade show. We have listened to Expo seminars and virtual farm tours, and we have watched the world's greatest cows become champions, and champions become legends on the colored shavings. During tomorrow's Parade of Champions and selection of Supreme Champions, we will be creating a very young Expo legend. Saturday's event will introduce for the first time the Supreme Champion of the Heifer Show and both the Junior and Open shows. These young junior champions have been named all week long and will lead the milking champion into the show ring at tomorrow's ceremony. Good luck to not only these heifers, but also their exhibitors. We look forward to being right there beside you as you make history. Our friends at Master's Choice were back at it yesterday to showcase how two lives intersect on the colored shavings.
My name is Dean Malcolm. We're from Northern Victoria in Australia. We've been in the industry all our life. I'm third generation in the dairy industry. There's not many people from the Southern Hemisphere ever had the opportunity to judge World Dairy Expo, and thankfully I've been given one. Callum McKibben is from Lookout Holsteins and Jerseys in Canada. He's been one of the high-profile judges for 3 decades around the world. I guess to be nominated and have Callum nominate me is just it's a huge feather in my bow. Callum is regarded as one of the greats, and it's going to be awesome to be his associate and learn so much under him.
I'm Caleb Cruzy. I'm from Dyersville, Iowa. I'm 20 years old and go to the University of Minnesota.
I'm Cole Cruzy from Dyersville, Iowa. I'm 18 years old and I'm a freshman at Kaskaskia Community College in Centralia, Illinois.
Well, we've been kind of born on a dairy farm and we were raised on a dairy farm. Mom and Dad, when they were milking cows, they'd have a swing in the barn, and we'd always be in the swing in there while they're milking cows. We've been in there feeding calves and getting into mischief as brothers. When we were at a young age, as soon as we can walk, we were in the barn feeding calves and feeding cows and probably bugging my mom and dad quite a bit.
When we started 4-H in 4th grade, it was always our dream goal to come down here and watch our parents do really good in their past opening years of World Dairy Expo. Made us feel a fire to come down here and do really, really well at a high-level show.
You have to be focused on the cows. I think if you start looking at who's on the holder, that's where you start getting into trouble. So we're there to do a job, and that's to place them, what we think is the best animal to the bottom of the line. So to do that, you have to be focused.
A lot of nerves. You get nervous and you get this biggest chill down your back. It's just electrifying when you walk in that ring.
Very fine margin, because every animal here looks about the same from part to part. I mean, it's very slim margin around here.
extremely hard. I mean, you know, I've been on both sides of it. We've been exhibitors, you know, at shows all my life, and look, you don't always agree with the judges' placings at every show, but the one thing I've learned over the years is you have to accept it. You know, you can't change it at all. So I mean, you know, we're out there to do a job, and we've got to do it to the best of our ability. And you know, they've asked us to come and judge, and they've voted us to judge. So it's up to us to do the best we can.
Yeah, it was a really good show. Quality was really deep from top to bottom. You know, just cracking the top 10 this year, and everything that we showed was just an honor and a privilege, and we're really happy how we did. Family's everything to us, and our whole family was here to watch us exhibited, from aunts, uncles, grandparents. They came and watched us exhibited, and it was really special when we got in the top 10 or got our name called for the junior show or won a banner here at Expo, because they're hooting and hollering in the stands, and it just made the moment even more special. I couldn't be prouder as an older brother to watch my younger brothers exhibit their animals in the show ring with me.
On the colored shavings today and on the other Expo TV channels, you will find the International Red and White and International Guernsey shows presenting the best cows in their breeds. And following this, we will see the start of the final breed show at this year's World Dairy Expo, the International Holstein Show. Also coming up today is Dr. Paul Van Roden, who will be presenting an Expo seminar on improved genomic selection for health and other traits at 11. This will be followed at 1 p.m. by a panelist of experts in the food industry. Moderator Angela Anderson, Director of Customer Outreach at the Innovation Center for U.S. Dairy, will focus the discussion on a view from the top, how corporate restaurants and food retail sourcing policies are being developed and the implications to the farmer. It certainly will be an educational afternoon in Mendota 2 meeting room with these great industry leaders and experts leading these talks. And be sure you can watch those talks right here on Expo 360. We'll be right back after the next commercial.
The newest member of Dairy Tech's herd was bred to help you with the newest member of yours. She's the perfect cross of Dairy Tech pasteurization technology and the simplicity of the perfect udder colostrum management system. At half the price of any competitive product on the market, pasteurizing and warming your colostrum has never been easier or more cost-effective. Say hello, Matilda. Check her out at perfectudder.com.
Welcome back. You're looking at the arena building and a bunch of our commercial exhibits that are outside once again. The virtual farm tours are back on the schedule again today. This afternoon, we are looking forward to visiting Rocky Creek Dairy from Olin, North Carolina, home to 1,240 cows that excel in milk quality. Following this, McCarthy Family Farms in Colby, Kansas, is home to 12,000 cows that produce milk exclusively for Dannon, and we'll hear from them too. The excitement of the 52nd World Dairy Expo continues tonight with happy hour in the Tan Bar, sponsored by Zoetis. That will be from 4 until 6 p.m. Hours of the Tan Bar are 11 till 3. And then this happy hour after that, sorry. For our international guests, don't forget your reception to be held tonight from 5 until 7 p.m., and that'll be in the exhibition hall. And following the International Holstein Show, the show ring will be transformed for the World Classic 2018 Holstein Sale. Before the Holstein Sale, stop by the Sale Pavilion for the International Guernsey Classic Sale, as well as the World Premier Milking Shorthorn Sale. That's at 2 p.m. Sale cattle can be found in the northwest corner of the cattle tent and the front of Pavilion 1. Before we leave you, we have a social shout out from Twitter this morning. Barker Boiler 247 says, glad to be back at WDE Expo to see an old friend, Miss Madison, hashtag WDE18. And that's all we have for today. We will be back tomorrow to highlight the upcoming excitement of the Parade of Champions and selection of those supreme champions, along with a recap of the week. Thanks for joining us, and see you tomorrow.